Hello everybody, I hope you guys are having a great day. In today's video, I do want to review Ripple. The coin of Ripple is XRP. This is the first time that I'm going to be reviewing Ripple. A lot of people have been asking me in my DMs, Adam, can you give a Berg overview of the project? And I'm going to be the first one to admit I've never reviewed the project before, so I might get some things wrong. I think I did a pretty good job in this video. It's going to be 100% objective, and I wanted to know what all the hype or lack of hype is when it comes to Ripple XRP. If you are somebody that's on the fence of Ripple, if you are somebody that doesn't know about Ripple, maybe you invested in Ripple, you wanted a little bit of a deeper dive, or maybe you don't want to invest in Ripple, but you want to know what all the hype is about, then this video is going to be for you. Sit back, relax, hit me up in the comments down below. Now, if you are a Ripple investor, an XRP holder, please, can you give me some constructive criticism? I would love to learn a little bit more about the project and do more videos on the project. I'll admit it one more time. I might not get everything right the first time I make a video. I try to do as much research as I can, but I'm usually pretty good with these type of videos, but I do build in the future on my base video. So this is gonna be my base video when it comes to Ripple XRP. And as always, if you get something from this video, please take a moment right now to hit me up in the comments, like, share, subscribe, whatever you wanna do, because it definitely helps me out with the almighty YouTube algorithm. With that said, let's get right into the video. The mission statement of Ripple is, Ripple is trying to solve international cross-border money transfers. They are competing directly with SWIFT. What do I mean by competing directly with SWIFT? Institutions, large institutions, and banking institutions currently use SWIFT. There's approximately $6 trillion that's moved cross borders, which means in the entire globe, using the SWIFT system every single day. It is absolutely the most dominant way of transferring funds cross-border right now. The problem is SWIFT can take several days to clear, and the costs are super high because they auto-convert the fiats of the different currencies, of the different countries, of the different jurisdictions that are being sent. The answer to this by Ripple is, hey, let's set something pretty much instantly, super duper cheap, super efficiently, and energy efficient. And if we can do all of that, we could sign up and work with a bunch of different banks, and we can work side by side with SWIFT and make a lot of money doing it. And that's essentially the gist of what Ripple is trying to do. They are trying to solve cross-border monetary payments. That's what it is. With that said, let me give you a breakdown and a background of the project. Ripple Labs is a for-profit organization, and Ripple Labs owns XRP. Ripple was originally launched in 2012, known as OpenCoin, and in 2015, just 3 years later, they changed their name to Ripple. Personally, I think Ripple sounds a whole lot better than OpenCoin. It's kind of like onomatopoeia, right? It causes a ripple effect. That's when the sound of the word that you're using actually means something. So if you want to cause a ripple effect in the monetary system, that makes sense. The name Ripple, I really like it. I think this is a super plus. Now, it was founded by two people, a guy called Chris Larsen and Jed McCaleb. You might have heard of Jed McCaleb because Jed McCaleb ended up leaving Ripple to start another project that's similar to Ripple called Stellar. So XRP is the coin of Ripple, while XLM is the coin of Stellar. The current CEO is Brad Garlinghouse, and Brad Garlinghouse owns approximately a 6% stake in Ripple company. Brad is a billionaire, a multi-billionaire, and he sat on many other boards and had many other businesses before he came on board with Ripple. Ripple uses a very interesting consensus. It's not a proof of work and it's not a proof of stake. It's called a proof of consensus model. The maximum supply of Ripple is 100 billion, and the current circulating supply of Ripple is 50 billion. Currently, Ripple sits at around 7th on the coin market cap, and the total market cap is just a smidge over 19 billion at around 19.2 billion. The high for the year was 47 billion. It's interesting because Ripple hit a total all-time high of 120 billion, a massive 120 billion in 2018. This was very, very brief. It went all the way up to 120 billion, and then it dropped to around the teenish billions of around 14, 15, 16 billion. And then in 2021, it hit a recent all-time high of a massive $75 billion. So a lot of people think that the market cap of 19 billion is perceived as a bargain for Ripple because of what Ripple does. Ripple has an absolutely massive Ripple army. These guys are literally diehards. A lot of them make sense. A lot of them are just out there when you talk to them about Ripple. And my job is to comb through all of this and give you guys my honest opinion when it comes to Ripple. So the current price of Ripple is 30 cents per Ripple. The magic number that everybody is looking for, as always with most cryptocurrencies, is at least hit that $1 mark. Now, I'm not saying that it won't hit $1. I'm not saying $1 is the maximum. I'm not saying $1 is the bottom. I'm saying that everybody wants to hit that $1 mark. It's not just Ripple, a lot of cryptocurrencies. A lot of the Ripple holders believe that it's gonna hit the $1, that's gonna become the new bottom, and then it's gonna skyrocket from there as it's gonna have a lot more adoption. The current average transactions, now I'm gonna say average because sometimes the transactions go up, sometimes the transactions go down, and Ripple has several kinds of transactions, but it's right around a little bit north of 1 million transactions per day. And the 1 million transactions per day is over the last 12 months. That's not a scientific number. I just did a brief scan of the charts when I went to Ripple Scan. The way the proof of consensus works is 80% of the trusted validators need to have a consensus on some of the transactions. If 20% of the validators cannot reach consensus, the entire blockchain does not go down. Ripple doesn't go down. You can still see a history of transactions. It will just not prove the ledger and will not move forward. Also, if some of the nodes are down, some of the validators are down, but not enough to hit 20%, it might slow down Ripple, and Ripple is just not gonna work as efficiently and as fast as possible. Now, Ripple has 112 validators on the mainnet. There's different validators for different transactions of Ripple, but there's 35 unique node lists, and those 35 unique node lists is the 80-20% split that I was talking about. Ripple does not offer staking rewards because there is no such thing as staking in a proof of consensus model. However, there are sites and third parties that will call it staking your Ripple, but it's not exactly staking. You're not actually validating the system. So buyer beware, do whatever you guys want. Before I go any further, I do want to remind you, this is very difficult to do. Please hit me up with the comments. It really does help with my videos and the almighty YouTube algorithm. And I wanted to remind you, I am not a financial advisor. This is purely education and entertainment. And if you are getting entertained, hit me up with the like. Thank you so much. Now we're gonna get to the juicy part. Ripple is fast. Ripple is one of the fastest blockchains out there, and it reaches consensus at 3 to 5 seconds. Currently, Ripple is reaching consensus at right around the 4-second mark, but it's always between the 3 to 5 seconds. Ripple has 1,500 transactions per second capabilities, 1,500 transactions per second, and they have a claim that they can reach 50,000 transactions per second. The reason why it's 50,000 transactions per second claim is to compete with all of the credit cards. Currently, Visa, MasterCard, or Amex have around 1,500 to 1,900 transactions per second. So at 1,500 transactions per second, this is already enough to compete with the credit cards if right now they maximize their transactions per second. But like I said, their average transaction per a 24-hour volume is around 1 million transactions, which equates to right around 10 to 15 transactions per second. So they are a long way away from maxing out their full capacity of 15,000 transactions per second, but they do claim 50,000 transactions per second, although I did not see a clear-cut plan to reach the 50,000. Not saying they don't have one, I personally did not see one. Their gas fees is 0.0003 per transaction. So it's practically free to use Ripple. You could literally use it all day long. The energy used is 0.0079 kilowatts. That is very energy efficient. However, it is not as efficient as, for example, an algorand or as an example as a Hedera. But once you get to the energy efficiency that is this low, I put everybody in the same exact category. Just like when you have finality of 3 seconds or 5 seconds or 2 seconds, they're all right around the same category. Also, gas fees, if you have anything under 1 penny per transaction, I believe that the gas fees are super cheap. And at that point, it's very, very hard to distinguish and differentiate a project. So Ripple is definitely one of the faster blockchains. Ripple is definitely one of the cheaper blockchains. And Ripple is definitely one of the more efficient blockchains out there. Now, Ripple currently works with over 100 different members, 100 different banks. I'm gonna read you a couple of the more predominantly named banks that you might have heard of. Santander Bank out of the US, you got the Canadian Imperial Bank of Canada, you got the Siam Bank out of Thailand, you got the BTEC Bank out of Brazil, you got the Instaream out of Singapore, and you have the IndusInd out of India. There are many other banks that you probably would have heard of, maybe some that you wouldn't have heard of, but I'm just naming a couple. Now, all of these banks are cross borders. They are on many different continents, in many different countries, and with many different specialties. The hope of Ripple is that there's going to be a lot more adoption from a lot more banks, especially after this lawsuit is done. There's going to be a huge wave of investors that are coming into Ripple. Now, Ripple is concentrating on 3 main areas: cross-border payments, crypto liquidity, and CBDCs. Ripple's goal, and the way Ripple works is they have something called RippleNet. This is like the heartbeat, the veins, the interiors, the guts of the Ripple ecosystem. This is a tap-in system which allows banks and institutions to basically mimic SWIFT, except much faster and cheaper. And it's broken down into a couple of areas. You have XCurrent, XRapid, XVIA, and RippleNet. So XCurrent is process real-time payments, XRapid is source on-demand liquidity, XVIA is send global payments with a single integration, and RippleNet is a bunch of different use cases. By joining RippleNet, banks, payment providers, exchanges, and corporates can address many commercial use cases, including, so this is what they cover: e-invoicing, international supply chain payments, global currency accounts, real-time cash pooling, international bill payments, and real-time remittance and international P2P, peer-to-peer payments. Ripple does have a lawsuit from the SEC. I'm going to touch on this really fast, but I can make an entire video when it comes to this. The SEC charged Ripple and 2 executives with conducting a $1.3 billion unregistered securities offering when they were selling Ripple on the open market in order to fund Ripple Labs, in order to fund the Ripple project. A lot of people believe that once this SEC lawsuit is over, that Ripple is going to go to the moon. Now, this SEC lawsuit is starting to come at the end, which means it is closing out. Nobody knows what the end is going to be. If you talk to Gary Gensler or the SEC, they believe that they are winning. With Gary Gensler putting out a bunch of comments like, this is the end of the road, we're winning, everybody watch out, you're all securities. But then if you talk to Ripple supporters, and they have a lot, for example, Brian Armstrong of Coinbase and a bunch of other companies, they're literally sending letters to the judge in the case, experts in the field, to break things down. They believe that Ripple is winning the case and Ripple is gonna win this case. Who knows what happens with cryptocurrency one way or the other, and especially with what's happening with FTX and Voyager and Celsius and BlockFi and another half a dozen of these crypto exchanges that went down. Nobody knows what's gonna end up happening with regulations in the future. Okay, my take on Ripple. Ripple does have exchange. They have one, as far as I understand. They do have smart contracts. They have local smart contracts. They are currently working on EVM smart contracts, Ethereum virtual machine. But their ecosystem for smart contracts is not as robust as many other blockchains. I believe one of the reasons why it's not so robust is because they're not catering towards retail investors. They're literally catering to institutional clients, specifically financial clients, banking clients, things like this. So the entire Ripple ecosystem is literally built so that banks can use them in conjunction or against the SWIFT monetary network. And of course, they are ISO 222 compatible or compliant, whatever you want to call it, which is going to be the new language of SWIFT by 2025. This is the global monetary language. Now, there are other projects that are ISO 222 compatible or rumored to be. For example, Algorand, Hedera, Stellar, XDC, Quant. You have Ripple, of course, and I believe there's one or two other projects. So it's very, very important to speak this language if you want to work with institutional investors. And it makes sense that all the projects that I just named want to be compliant or are compliant or rumored to be compliant because they're all kind of overlapping in the same market. I'm not saying they do exactly what Ripple does, and I'm not saying that Ripple does exactly what they do. Everybody does have its own specialty. With that said, I do 100% see and understand the love for Ripple. I do 100% see and understand all of the hype behind Ripple because they are specifically niche down targeting banks. They're giving banks a much better alternative than what they have right now. And specifically for banks. I don't think Ripple cares much about retail investors. I don't think that Ripple cares much about building out a ecosystem for retail investors. I'm not saying they don't have NFTs, but I don't think they're going to be the NFT marketplace of cryptocurrency. I don't think that they're going to be the dApp central of cryptocurrency. The dApps, the NFTs, maybe it's going to be catered again towards commercial clients, towards banking. For example, NFT for retail where you have like a pixelated picture, and I'm not hating on those type of NFTs like art NFT. Maybe they're gonna have a utility NFT where you have a savings account and your ID for the savings account is through an NFT. Or let's say there's a will in question where you need to send funds from one country to another when somebody passes away. That will, your identity, your digital ID card can be in the form of an NFT. Again, dApps, the dApps that are going to be built, the decentralized applications, maybe the dApps are not for retail. So maybe it's not going to be a farming dApp. Maybe it's not going to be a decentralized exchange dApp. Maybe it's not going to be a gaming dApp that's built on Ripple. However, there could be dApps that are built specifically for commerce, specifically for banks. Maybe a decentralized application for Santander Bank. Maybe a decentralized application for CM Bank. And maybe then these different banks can talk between the decentralized applications built on Ripple. This is what I see Ripple as, again, specifically niched down for big banks and big time commercial institutional investors. With that said, do I think Ripple's price is justified? At the end of the day, who the heck am I to tell you what the price is justified? I could tell you something like this. Ripple could win this SEC lawsuit and it could go to the moon. Ripple can win this SEC lawsuit and it could drop. Ripple can lose either way and it can still go up and down. At the end of the day, nobody knows the crypto market. At the end of the day, nobody knows how big the crypto market can be. Currently, crypto market is sitting at around 850 billion. If you looked at crypto a year ago, it was sitting at 3 trillion, nearly 4x where we are right now. If you were going to tell me a year ago Ripple would be $20 billion market cap or $19 billion market cap, you guys all would have laughed, right? Nobody would have believed it, but it is. The entire crypto market is taking a shit. At the end of the day, the value of Ripple is what the users of Ripple give to that value. If more banks are going to institutionalize, if more banks are going to utilize Ripple, if more institutional clients are going to use Ripple, if you have the Ripple retail army that's going to get behind them, sure, Ripple can go higher. It all matters what's going to happen in the crypto market. It all matters what's going to happen in the macroeconomic environment. And it also, of course, matters what's going to happen in the micro immediate economic environment. At the end of the day, if you believe in the project and you think that the project is solving a problem, and that's what cryptocurrency is here for, and Ripple definitely has a clear and coherent path to solve international money transfers, cross-border monetary policy, then Ripple is a good investment for you. If you think that Ripple is not doing anything, and I'm not saying that they're not, I'm saying if you think that they're not doing anything, well, then Ripple is not a good investment. I personally do understand why people invest in Ripple, as I did a bigger deep dive into Ripple. They definitely have a lot of pros. They definitely have a lot of cons, and they are on the target of the SEC. I believe only after this lawsuit is done, one way or the other, hopefully Ripple comes out on top. That is the only time when Ripple is actually going to start ripping. You see what I did over there? Until the lawsuit is over, nobody knows what's going to end up happening. Until that is done, people in general are accumulating Ripple because they believe that after the lawsuit, Ripple is going to go to the moon. Guys, in the comments down below, please let me know what you guys think Ripple is doing. Did you find this video helpful or not? Did this video answer any of your questions or not? And am I wrong in anything that I said? Please be constructive. I like constructive criticism so that I can make my videos that much better. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate you and have a great day.